The DM's Vendetta. Come in, my friends. And let me tell you the sordid tale of a man who we shall refer to as Dave. A silver-tongued old wordsmith with a god complex and a bone to pick. Dave is the kind of person who believes he is special beyond compare. Well-traveled, spiritual, a bit of a hopeless romantic, if he does say so himself. And a genuine scholar to boot. He spoke several languages. And was working on writing a novel that, no, you could not proofread. But rest assured it would be the greatest novel in all of human history. So as a person, Dave was kind of an ass. But we are here for some RPG related horror. So let's get into it. It all started with a good friend of mine, who we shall refer to as B, and who was playing a paladin. The world was one made by a mutual friend. A stuffy fellow, but one that could write a world like there was no tomorrow. The players were trying to stop the BBG from becoming a god of the realm by disrupting the demonic pact that was allowing him to absorb the souls of those slain by his armies, which would be a noble quest for any adventurers, if not for one problem. Nearly the entire party was some brand of evil. Now most veteran players know that not all evil is created equal. So just because a character is evil does not necessarily mean that they would agree with a being hellbent on ascending to godhood. But alas, the party was mostly new, and when the party was face to face with the BBEG, it was left to be and be alone. Normally, this would be a terrible situation to be in, but it was here that their DM handed over control to Dave, who swore he had a brilliant ending written. B, being a paladin, stood his ground against the BBEG, ready to fight a losing battle, and then he died. Just like that. No rolls or saves. No roller playing. Just had his neck snapped and was thrown in the ocean. His body cursed to stop anyone from resurrecting him. The icing on the cake. The rest of the party didn't care in the slightest. So ended Siegfried the Paladin. And so began Dave's obsession with killing B. The next campaign was the first time I experienced this in person. Standard zombie invasion story run by a mutual friend. With both B and Dave as PCs. I was playing a rogue. B was a bard with an emphasis on crowd control, and Dave was a samurai with a focus on dual katana and a panshan for claiming everything he had was mastercraft at level 5. Our DM was pretty loose with our equipment, so Dave got what he wanted, but not how he wanted it. The splint mail gave him a 2 to dexterity checks as opposed to the +4 he swore it granted him. B was quite on the matter, caring more for the RP than for Dave's petty antics. This, of course, rubbed Dave the wrong way, and it wasn't long before he challenged B's character to a duel. First bloodied loses. Dave gets first attack, and his flurry of blows is punishing to say the least, but B manages to avoid being bloodied by 2 HP. B retaliates by dazing Dave, giving him a cumulative 6 to all his rolls, crippling the attacks that were already just barely passing through B's AC. B wins, and Dave throws a fit, claiming B was cheating. Shortly after that, the session ends, never to start again. Dave started the next campaign without me after I mocked him during a game of MTG. Though I was invited into the second session by B, I was a sorcerer to B's wizard. Our backstories were that we were a pair of street magicians turned adventurers, now hired by a ranger to investigate a massive surge of natural energy emanating from the town sewers. The party investigates, encountering a horde of spiders before reaching our destination. One of the party thought it was a brilliant idea to roll in the sewage to try and crush the spiders, leaving himself prone in a sea of spiders, up to his ears in sewage, being both poisoned and diseased. B was left to keep watch over our comrade while we pressed on. But B wasn't about to let the adventure pass him by. He said a few words, then executed the dying Halfork, putting him out of his and our misery. When B caught up, the group was being led by cannibals to their new god, a mystical harpy living in the sewer to draw power off of something. The harpy, upon seeing B, immediately became enraged, attacking the party, but not before it sealed B's magic forever. No saves of any kind allowed, and no chance of regaining his power. At this, B and I protested that it was unfair for Dave to remove B's character from the game without so much as a roll to oppose. Dave told us, "I'm the DM. What I say goes." B and I left immediately after that. Months later, we received an invite to join in a new campaign where all the characters were based on pre-19th century novels/legends. Cool enough concept, so we accept. I'm Captain Ahab while B is Blackbraid the pirate gender swapped Blackbird. Everything goes pretty smoothly for 5 sessions. Until B inadvertently says that his character hates magic in front of a few spirits, who then sap B's character's constitution as they age her by 40 years. B and I don't wait for an explanation, leaving then and there. These were enough for me, but B is something of a glutton for punishment, and so went to another of Dave's campaigns, this time as a scion. I didn't get many details on what happened exactly, but from what I was told, while the party was walking through an open field, B and only B was told to make a reflex roll. B rolled a 19. Total of 24, but that was not enough to save B from the meteor that crushed his character. B left shortly after that, later learning that his character's demise was because Dave was sure B was going to question the story at some point, and that Dave felt B was being childish and rude for leaving like that. B and I have found a new session with a different DM that suits our gaming needs, but never will we forget the torment felt under the egotistical reign of Dave. The Ballad of Bob, the asshole player, decided to contribute my thankfully only experience with an absolutely shit player. A few years ago I was in my first 5e game. We had just finished Lost Mines of Fandalver on Roll20 and were continuing on with the story. Unfortunately, we had to replace 2 of our players due to unavailability. The game was opened up again and so Bob joined the game, playing an Ohm Divination Wizard. At first, Bob looked like a great addition to the game. He was pretty great at rapping, but I probably should have noticed the first red flag when he started talking about how his level 6 wizard was so amazing that he was previously an advisor to kings across the kingdom for his powers at seeing the future. Still, we rolled with it. Fast forward a bit, and he started showing his true colors. What bothered me the most was how he started making decisions of what was happening in game without consulting the DM. One of the PCs said jokingly that the new gnome was weird while he was outside, but when he walked back in his character slapped the one who said it, claiming he heard us. When I challenged him about it, he just went and said that the guard sent to get him had told him. In our small argument, he also decided that his character put acid in my boots, which I still played along with despite my frustration. Same session, one PC, let's call him Cool Stan, because he's actually cool, begins talking in private with me about a necromancy spellbook that he found in a previous dungeon and, of course, Bob decides that his character overheard him talking. I tried to refute Bob, even starting to throw passive perception rules at him, but Cool Stan voluntarily tells him. Bob then proceeds to demand that we destroy the book immediately because no good will come to using it. Voices were raised, and he even threatened to attack us. But Cool Stan decided to defuse the situation by just destroying the book. Even after getting his way though, Bob still tells Cool Stan fuck no when asked if can teach him more about magic. We kind of called him out later for all his behavior later in our Skype chat, but his response was just it's what my character would have done. From there the problems just keep mounting. Outside the game, he starts criticizing our party's past decisions from our session summaries, saying how much we desperately need his wizard going forward. In game he keeps making decisions for the DM, example, stating that magic shops have bogus spell scrolls so that he can get a discount. Borrowing money from some players, but only loaning money to others. General metagaming stuff that his character shouldn't know. And all the while we are forced to perpetually listen to him criticize our every decision while he gives his improvements. The dude had a weird conception of what teamwork meant. This all eventually comes to a head when our DM is behind in planning and suggests that we do a free-for-all battle. Bob brings a tiefling bard he names Expertise, because of course he does, and brags about how he hopes no one will rage quit because he brought such a great build. Eventually he goes down with 3 more characters remaining, and then he ends up rage quitting. We all tell the DM right there that we all think Bob is an asshole, and he promises to talk to him before the next session. The free-for-all continues from there, and we all have fun. My sharpshooter rogue blood hunter unfortunately lost, haha. A few days later, we get a message from our DM saying Bob has been kicked from the game. Apparently when they spoke, Bob did nothing but blame everyone else for his behavior, and probably said even more that I never found out. Moral of the story, Bob was an ass. Don't be Bob. Edit. Realized that Bob named his free for all character expertise and not prestige.